Alright, this is John Kohler with OKRaw.com. Today I have another exciting episode for you, and the reason for today's episode was because of an email I got in my inbox this morning. And so I'm on several different raw food email lists that will various at times send me emails about different things in raw foods. And this one was quite interesting for me. The subject actually was called, "Are you struggling to be raw?" And that was the subject, so if you saw that and you're struggling, you would obviously click the email and read it. And you would read the couple paragraphs, which I'll read you in a second, and then it would kindly go down to the part that says, click here for the solution, which then they try to sell you some junk that you probably don't need to buy for further information and education. But basically, in this video, I'm going to give you my 2 cents on are you struggling to be raw and the solution to it. So let's go ahead and read what they put in the email to me this morning. Want to know a secret? Many raw food gurus include cooked foods in their diets. Why? Besides the obvious comfort and gratification, balancing your diet with cooked foods frees you from relying on fatty foods to feel full. It's true, nuts, seeds, avocados, and oils are very high in fat. Too much fat in your diet, even if it's raw, is not healthy. By contrast, foods like quinoa and lentils are filling, but very low in fat. And then it went on to their marketing schmeal to get you to click over to their website and buy their stuff. So first I want to go over each one of these sentences line by line, because there's some truths and there's some not so truths with this. So let's see, want to know a secret? Many raw food gurus include cooked foods in their diets. Alright, so do many raw food gurus include cooked foods in their diets? Well, I know this raw fooder does not include cooked foods in my diet. I do know a lot of people that don't include cooked foods in their diets that are known as raw gurus. If you want to put the guru word on, I don't tend to like that word. I think gurus are just people too, and they're on their path sharing what they've learned with you guys. So, I encourage you guys not to idolize anybody. Just look at them and say, that's, John, that's him on his journey. He has a lot of experience with it, which, yes, some of the people that have been doing raw foods for a long time has experience, but there's a lot of people that are getting famous on YouTube and whatnot that may not have even been doing it that long. So, everything that I share with you guys is based on my 17 years of doing raw foods and experimenting and learning by the school of hard knocks all along the way. So, some raw food educators may include cooked foods and some may not. Some maybe say they do it all and then, behind closed doors they eat cooked foods. Lately, even some raw food educators or teachers or chefs have actually gone out publicly and stated they're eating cooked foods now. And in my opinion, there's a reason for that. So anyways, let's move on. So it says, why? Why do raw food gurus eat some cooked foods? Well, I don't exactly know the reason why some people do it. I could say that, in my opinion, some people may eat cooked foods because maybe they're not getting enough calories because you're literally concentrating it in there. So that could be a reason, maybe because they have, emotional issues tied with food. Maybe they like the flavor of cooked food. I mean, people ask me nowadays, John, do you ever crave cooked food? I'm so far beyond that, it's not even funny. And, the last time I ate cooked food was many years ago, and I remember how I actually felt after I ate it. And let me tell you, I just don't want to feel that way. I run at such a high level and, high energy level. And if I was to eat cooked foods tomorrow morning, I'd be in bed, not wanting to get up for about a half hour, an hour, and normally I wake up, jump out of bed, and I'm 100% ready for my day to keep going until I fall asleep at night. So next, let's talk about, besides the obvious comfort and gratification, balancing your diet with cooked foods frees you from relying on fatty foods to feel full. Now, would I necessarily agree with that? Well, fat and calories is one way you could feel full if you get enough calories, but there's other ways to feel full without getting the calories. We have stretch receptors in our stomach, so if you literally eat enough food, you're going to feel quote-unquote full, and then you won't need to eat anymore. One of the big problems with most raw food diets today is that it basically has a lot of nuts and seeds and fats in it, so that you get the primary source of your calories are coming from fat. And I personally don't necessarily recommend that style of diet. I think in the short run that may be good because if you're coming off the standard American diet, and going that raw gourmet or high fat raw foods, it may be better because it's going to be better than what you were doing eating standard American diet. But I think in the end you really need to reduce your overall fat consumption. You know, anywhere between 10% to up to, 20%, 25 max if you have to max it out, but that's, getting pretty high up there. But we want to do a relatively low fat diet, in my opinion, for the best health. So if you're not getting your main source of calories from fat, where are you going to get them on a raw foods diet? Well, me personally, I get most of my calories from fruit. And, it works really good for me. Now, when I talk about fruit, people think like bananas and sweet fruits. Well, there's other kinds of fruits besides sweet fruits. I'm actually sitting here in my pepper bed, and here's some bell peppers. And these guys aren't yet ripe. These are a nice faint yellow color, not yet ripe. They're going to turn to a nice red color. So one down here is red when they're ripe. So things like peppers, tomatoes, zucchinis, and cucumbers, technically they're all fruits because they contain seeds botanically, although when we think of them, they're classified as vegetables in our everyday system these days. So those are some good fruits you can eat to get some good calories in you without getting your calories from fat. The other thing that is not often talked about in raw foods that you can, get your calories by eating sprouted grains and sprouted beans if you don't want to eat the fruit. Although that can be very challenging because those foods do take up a lot of space and you have to eat a lot of them. Now these things only apply if you want to eat all raw, and I'm not the raw food police. While I do eat 99.9999% raw food diet and have since 1995, I don't necessarily advocate that you guys do that either. So let's talk about the next sentence here. It says, it's true, nuts, seeds, avocados, and oils are very high in fat. Too much fat in your diet, even if it's raw, is not healthy. So yes, I would generally agree with that statement. But the other thing is that, you don't want to get scared of fat. We have this, fat phobia in our country. Everybody's eating non-fat crap that's totally processed. Now, if you're eating natural foods like nuts, seeds, avocados, in moderate to small amounts. And what is moderate to small amounts? Well, in my opinion, I personally eat 1 or maximum 2 handfuls of nuts and seeds a day. And every day I strive to eat a different kind of nut or seed. So I'm getting a spectrum of different nutrients flooding into my body. I also may add like an avocado, or instead of the handful of nuts and seeds, 2 avocados, if that. And I recommend that you guys always eat water-rich fats like avocados or coconuts, fresh coconut, instead of the, super dense nuts that are dried. The water-rich fats are going to digest a lot easier. At least that's what I have found. But actually going over to the oils, even if they're raw oils I actually do not recommend. They're actually very high in fat. A matter of fact, oils are 100% fat. Yes, I will repeat that. Oils are 100% fat. They take the olive, they squeeze the olive, they separate everything out of the olive, including the fiber and the water, and they take out only the oil. And oil is all fat. Just 1 tablespoon of oil has about 120 calories, and that's definitely a lot of calories from fat. Say you're making an oil and vinegar dressing, which many people on raw foods may do, and you get a whole head of romaine lettuce, which might be 80 calories. You dump on a little olive oil and your vinegar dressing over it, and now you're eating more calories from fat than you are of the romaine lettuce, and that should be totally the other way around. So what I like to do instead for my dressings is I like to take some nuts, because nuts, besides having the oil content in there, they also have all the different phytochemicals and phytonutrients and fiber in there, and I'll blend like a handful of nuts with some orange juice into a nice, rich, creamy orange nut dressing. And I like to use macadamia nuts, so it's a creamy orange macadamia nut dressing. Oh, tastes so good. So the last sentence here says, by contrast, foods like quinoa and lentils are filling but very low in fat. That's absolutely true. So in general, people would cook their quinoa and lentils, but you can also sprout those 2 items and eat them. So I guess the next thing I want to discuss is talk about, are you struggling to be raw? So, I want to set you guys up for success. I don't want to set you guys up for failure like standard marketing, standard TV always does. I want you guys to succeed at the raw foods diet. And, it's all about the rules you create for yourself. If your rule is, I'm going to be 100% raw, and then you slip up even just a little bit by 1 cookie, because your coworkers are saying, oh, John, you got to try this cookie, or your husband or wife comes home with some takeout food and says, oh, just try 1 bite, and you try 1 bite, and then you give in to willpower and you have the whole thing. And I know that has happened to you guys before. Then you just blew your 100% raw food diet. So instead of like maybe having the goal of 100% raw, maybe you set your goal a lot more moderate. Maybe you just set your goal at 80% more raw. And that way you could eat raw most all the time and you're going to eat 20% cooked stuff. Now, is cooked stuff the worst in the world for you? Well, it depends on what cooked stuff that is. You can't just say all cooked stuff is bad like many people into raw foods would say. I would definitely say that there's definitely good, better, best in cooked foods. Obviously, the worst cooked foods could be something like microwave or fried or something cooked at high temperature. Maybe something that would be a better cooked food would maybe be baked at like 350 degrees or something like that. A baked potato, for example. But the best cooked foods, in my opinion, is something that's steamed. You know, steamed or boiled foods, in my opinion, is probably some of the best ways to actually cook your food. And if you are going to cook your food, once again, you want to have minimally processed foods as possible, and definitely whole foods whenever possible, and 80% raw and 20% of the mildly cooked, once again, steamed or boiled vegetables or grains and beans. I think you'd be far better off than most people eating a standard American diet, and you're still going to get many of the benefits that raw foods will offer you. Also, another way to do this, instead of putting like a percentage on how much you will eat, just make a commitment to yourself that today, because we can't focus on today, we can't focus about tomorrow, and we can't change the past. You can make a commitment to yourself, today I will eat more raw foods or fresh fruits and vegetables than I did yesterday. And you could easily do that. Say you had, a bunch of meals yesterday of raw and you had a little bit of cooked stuff. Then just eat a little bit more raw. Eat one extra apple and your success. And I want you guys to build every day on your successes and not focus on your failures. Unfortunately, in our society today, many people always focus on the failures and not look at the successes. Well, and let me share with you one of the things that I've actually learned over all these years, that the more times I've failed means the more successful I will be. So, take that habit to heart, build it into your operating system, in the core of your belief system, and the more you fail, the more you're going to succeed. Now I just need to start asking more girls out so I can go on some more dates. So the take-home message today that I want to leave you guys with is that I don't want you guys to struggle on being raw. That's the negative outcome. I want you to, look towards the positive. I want you to eat as raw as you possibly can. I want you guys to have the easiest time including as much raw foods as you'd like in your diet so that you can be as healthy as you can. Once again, some very simple tips to include more raw foods in your diet. That's very simple. Number 1, juicing. Number 2, blending. Number 3, eating things whole. It's really simple, real easy. Doesn't take any fancy recipes, smash-me's. Start growing a garden, start picking things out of your garden and eating it right from your garden. Actually, that's what I did today for my lunch. I came out to my garden, just snacked on a little bit of everything: cucumbers, lychee tomatoes, raspberries, Asian pears, some different greens, some tomatoes, until I was totally happy. And then I started getting back to work and working some more. So, struggling to be raw foods, know what I think of that? I think, blast this email, delete it, eat more fresh fruits and vegetables, and enjoy life. So once again, my name is John Kohler with OKRaw.com. We'll see you next time, and remember, keep eating your fresh fruits and vegetables. They're the best.